So this video is for students that want a basic understanding about what business strategy is, because it's not really covered that well in a lot of marketing degrees, even in today's world. So you understand obviously some of the principles of, well, you should do by now, what a real marketing campaign is with modern social media. You've got a brand identity. Um, how much equity you put into that is how many posts you do, for instance. The basic concepts of marketing. Now, business strategy is what the overall company wants to do. Where are they going to go? Now, this is a very basic definition. It's not quite academic, but business strategy is a strategy first comes from the military. So we'll talk about military first. So if I've got a unit of soldiers, for instance, say I was in the special forces, which I wasn't, by the way, and I'm commander of a team of eight soldiers, special forces, and the strategy on our general purpose is to go behind enemy lines as for real, and seek out and destroy enemy vehicles. So we're going back maybe to the First and Second World War, and they would blow up bridges and airplanes on the airfield. And watching SAS Rogue Heroes, good series. But anyway, the strategy is they specialize in going behind enemy lines. So therefore, they've got to be ultra fit. Now, when we talk about business, what is the business purpose of, I don't know, PG Tips, to have a homebrew taste, a home that people can just pour their tea in, right? They want to produce affordable tea that people can have at home. That could be their strategy or their marketing ethos, but more so, they only produce home tea. They don't go into the commercial side and produce um, these tea bags that will fit into the cups of the restaurants. They only do residential home use tea, home brew tea, right? They don't do anything else. So that's a core part of their business strategy. Now, when you're working with, hopefully, you're going to be working with me, because this is going to be a new program. It's going to be joint with another company that I have to pay for their services for you to come on board. So you can't join me directly, but this is going out to anybody that wants to shine a little bit more on their graduate training program, but also the basics elements of business strategy. So number one, the business model has to have a purpose. So that's a core part of business strategy, because I'm not going to put my soldiers on the field unless they've had training. And what they're going to do? What's their purpose? In the special forces, they're taught to question things, whereas a normal unit are not. So in terms of business world, the brand A questions things as they're more elite. Brand B, they they don't. They're in a lower class because they just want to compete on price. But they even have that as a strategy and their overall brand concept. So brand concept or attributes are slightly different to business strategy. Business strategy is the sole purpose of the company. This is very loose, but it can you can work on this definition so that you understand there is a difference between business strategy, sales, and marketing. Business strategy is the overall top layer of the company, and that's where the executives meet. Right, well, our strategy is compete on pricing, but in actual fact, how do we do that? We actually spent the last 10 years communicating deeply, going to these, say you're a coffee company, they've gone to the outskirts of, the continents of Africa and India, and they're getting these farmers to create these wonderful new coffee blend beans, right, for instance. And the sole purpose of their business strategy is that we seek and communicate with our farmers first. So that's stage one of their business strategy, and sometimes that can change over time because they've got environmental factors, the cost of supply. We know that Donald Trump has increased tariffs, so there's always going to be external forces that are going to affect your business strategy. So this is a little bit more about around marketing analysis, but also industrial analysis or industry analysis. Sorry, industry analysis is some what some students you might have learned on your business studies degree. Hopefully, using Porter's five forces, etc. But we're always ideally taught to SWOT analyze, okay, the business strategy of different companies. That was taught to me as a humble business study student. But now, if you come to work for me, all right, or you're going to be doing the apprentice program, which is not available directly, sadly, then I want you to watch this video and then go away and have a look at some of the world's biggest companies, for instance, and try to summarize in one paragraph in your mind or have a good vision about what the business strategy is. There's so many definitions out there, and I think as long as you understand it's a core part of the company, it's not just about making profit. How do we get to where we've got to? How do we get our customers? How do we get our training? What do we actually specialize in? And there's a lot of questions that go into the core part of the business strategy. Now, you should be able to explain your business strategy if you own a company within a paragraph per se. Lots of CEOs go and do interviews, watch some interviews online, but equally, the business strategy is the core part of what the business is doing. Okay, and yes, the marketing goes into it. Yes, the sales funnel goes into that. But if I'm operating, which I'm a learning designer by trade because I'm a former teacher, what's the core purpose of Steve's learning Steve's AI learning performance? The sole purpose of what I do is trying to make the alignment of using AI in learning design teachable to others so they can upskill in their business faster, easier, better, more efficient. That's the core part of my business strategy. And I use a number of methods. This method, I'm going to train apprentices, yeah, students or young folks, even older folks in some respects, to understand different parts of business. And one of the key parts a lot of students fail to recognize is business strategy is so important because it's how the overall company operate. Like I said, go back to my story in Special Forces. The SAS, when they first started, and I'm watching Rogue Nations at the moment, they operated in the desert. They were quick. Yes, they did steal equipment because they weren't given funding, but ultimately, in a smaller unit, you can make sometimes even a bigger impact because number one, yes, you will be going behind enemy lines, which a traditional big sized army unit couldn't do. You get to places where you couldn't get to before, and the soldiers themselves always question things and they think on their feet. Whereas traditionally in military, especially back then, they were told to follow orders through and through. So that's my case study, special forces and strategy, because military strategy does evolve around business strategy, but there's a strong alignment now. But I don't want you to get too confused about that. Just think about the overall purpose of the company, what it does, what markets it operates in, and try to get a feel of their competitors. Once you understand the business, the market it operates in, and its competitors, you start to build slowly but surely the strategy that it's currently using, and it'll always change. It will change because the brand identity changes, and you should be familiar with that term, because every marketing campaign is different. But generally speaking, the business strategy shouldn't go far off the rails within each trading year. So trading year being April to April, which is the UK tax year. Hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, please drop this down into the comments. This is a purpose-built video, part of my own training that I'm going to deliver to apprentices in the near late future. And I'll tag the company that I'm going to be working with because I think they're really great. Once I've done my financial commitment, then I can start onboarding my first apprentice. And I'm designing the actual current training program myself because I'm pretty good at training programs. I would say not just being a former teacher, but also former military as well. So I love training. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. This is a 10-minute, almost up, but thanks. I'll put this on YouTube, I think, and float it back in. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to learn about more AI and human strategy. Thank you.